You can't connect the dots looking forward, you can only connect them looking backwards. This is something that Steve Jobs had said. So that's basically what today's journey is about. So welcome back to Entrance and Beyond, everyone, and welcome to Pune's Placement Titans, our series where we sit down with students from Pune's top colleges and dive into their campus placement journeys, what they look like, no filters, their raw journey, and how they're doing right now. So today we have Titan number 6 with us. So before we dive into our journey, I'd like to start off with a story. So here's a story a lot of you must recognize. You all get into engineering, you get into your branch, and everyone tells you the hard part is over, you're going to have fun over these 4 years of college. But that's really not the truth. The real question starts right there. What do you actually want to do over these 4 years so that you can actually get good internships, you can get good jobs, and you can actually have a memorable 4 years journey? Maybe it's clubs, maybe it's joining sports for some people, maybe it's making some new friendships, and somewhere in the mess of trying everything, you're supposed to figure out where you fit and what you're actually supposed to do. So, talking about our guest today, so I'd like to welcome Chinmayee on our podcast. So, talking a bit about her, her resume speaks for herself. So, she was selected first of all for BNY Mellon's Career Catalyst program out of a pool of students from across approximately 8 to 10 colleges from Pune. Her team went on to win the second place and 10,000 rupees prize at BNY Mellon's DSA Craft Hackathon for a social music sharing app they built from scratch. Then she went through brutal interview sessions, so she didn't get selected in the first company that came on campus. So she had the opportunity to uh, be a part of the interview process in companies such as Salesforce, Adobe, Intuit, Texas Instrument, Deutsche Bank, to name a few. And learning something new, she finally cracked Barclays internship. And not only did she crack the internship, she actually went to convert that internship to a full time PPO role. She also was the lead of the e-cell in her college, and she took part in NEC, which is basically a competition that IIT Bombay holds, and there are among approximately 3,000 colleges and take part in that. And she also had the opportunity to take part in that, and we'll get to know more about her journey and her journey at Barclays. And something I forgot to mention is that she also won an internal hackathon at Barclays, so that's also something pretty cool to know. She ended up building a cool AI project. We'll dive into that. So yeah, that's pretty much all about Chinmay. So thank you so much, first of all, Chinmay, for sparing some time and coming on our podcast, and most importantly, interesting your journey with Entrance and Beyond. So before we dive into the technical details, I'd love to know a bit more about you and who Chinmay is apart from these achievements that I have mentioned.
So hi everyone. My name is Chinmayee, and apart from all these things, apart from this corporate side that I have currently joined, I am a huge theater buff. So I love theater. I I am a ardent fan of the arts. Take music, take dance, take theater, drama, any kind of art. I'm a big appreciator of art. So there are a lot of people that come up to me and say that, oh, I was interested in this field, but then I got pushed into engineering, which is like the classic Indian story. So like even I was one of those stories, not really in a way where I was pushed into this field, but I was always interested in mathematics and science. And that is like, that's how the flow goes, right? If you're a good enough student till your 10th standard, you score like 95 plus, and then your parents are, okay, go into science stream, figure out what else you want. And then you get pushed into this kind of a rat race of JEE and CET. So that is my journey as well. Just because all of my friends were getting into the science stream and preparing for all these exams. So since I had an interest in those subjects, and I just went with the flow. And I studied really hard in my 11th and 12th. It was the COVID lockdown. And then I got my admission into Cummins College of Engineering, Pune. Apart from like my childhood journey, I have been into a lot of extracurricular activities. I was in my F1 in schools team. There was an F1 team for our school, and we used to participate in the international F1 in school circuit. So the round one was in Bombay, round two was in Noida. So we went till round two, and we won awards for the best pit display, best marketing, and like our cars were these miniature cars that you had to carve out, 3D print. their parts, and then build the whole car. And then it was cut onto a CNC machine, and that was the one you used to race. So that was my first insight into what engineering is. Um, and yeah, like since my childhood, I have been training in Hindustani classical music. So I'm a classical music singer as well. So basically, I put on a lot of hats. I have my hand in a lot of jars. Yeah,
That's pretty good to know because it's very important to also explore these extracurricular activities because I feel like
right,
that will definitely help in your overall journey. You can't just be a nerd, so as to say. No offense to people like that, but I feel like even the folks that are good in studies, they pretty much have a lot of hobbies, and that's pretty good to know that the fact that you're classically trained in singing as well, you took part in these competitions from an early age, so that's pretty good to know. And it was great to know your initial journey with engineering, or the first time you get a bit of an idea about what engineering actually is about. Okay. So, Chinmay, when you entered college, how are things? How did things play out in the first year? Because college is definitely something new. You're adjusting to a new environment. For some folks, you're adjusting to hostel life. For other folks, it's the general up-down journey where you're going to college, doing all these lectures, doing all these academics, trying to understand what placements are, who the seniors are, what you're supposed to do over this 4 year journey. So, how did the first year play out for you?
right. So in my first year, I was a hostelite, and hands down, being in the hostel was one of the best experiences because you get your peers, you're living around your peers, they help you out, you help them, and you also have fun. And at the same time, you're learning a lot. So I think hostel was one of the main contributors to me getting back to my academics, so to say. And in the first year, obviously, just as everyone, I was really excited to start college because you have all these ideas that Bollywood and Hollywood has put into your head about going to college and going to university. So I was excited to do all that. And I just wanted to do everything once I went into college. I wanted to explore a lot of clubs, go out there, roam around with my friends. And that's what I thought college was about. So I just participated in all of the extracurricular activities that the college was holding. And when it came to academics, in the beginning it was really slow because in the first year of engineering it's like all branches have the same subjects, right? You have physics, chemistry, and engineering, graphics, and basics of all engineering subjects. So the first year was pretty slow. So whatever they were teaching in college, I was just focusing on that. And yeah, that's about it when it came to my academics. But when it came to my extracurriculars, I really went all out. I was in a book club. I was in the football team. I By the end of the first year, I also joined the drama club. So yeah, this was all about my first year. I didn't really participate in any hackathons or start coding really seriously in the first year. Just kept doing whatever the college was telling us to do, like get this assignment done, do this lab work, and just attending classes and paying attention. Yeah, that was one of the things. Like I used to attend all the classes because there was a 75% attendance mark. So I think that is the thing a lot of Pune colleges have. And I think, like, because I was participating in all of these activities, I got really distracted from my academics. But in a way, this 75% rule kind of, helped me streamline my academics so that I at least could, attempt the exams and, pass with like good enough marks so I could move ahead. Didn't really study a lot in the first year.
So, Chinmay, was there a moment in your journey when like reality strikes? Because for a lot of folks, that maybe the first rejection or maybe the first time you take part in a hackathon or something, because you're exposed to a totally different world and you understand where you actually stand. Because in the first year, a lot of times people are delusional, like delusional in the sense that they haven't gotten enough exposure, so they're not really sure what they're supposed to do in coding or whether they're supposed to go in hackathons or things like that. So do you remember a moment like that, if that moment ever came in your journey, even if that was maybe during placement season, where you got to know that where you stand and how you're supposed to improve your process, or how you're supposed to basically dive into the technical things? Was there a moment like that in your journey? And like, yeah, if you can remember anything, even if it was a minor maybe thing that happened in your journey.
Yeah, definitely. There were two moments like that in my journey. One was, as I said, I was part of the drama club, right? So we have this really big competition called the Purushottam Karandak in Pune, and it is in the month of August. So while my peers were all studying and getting geared up for the second year of college, and
Yeah,
just enjoying and relaxing, I was at practice early in the morning, going back to hostel late in the night. So, like, all my days just went into practice, and I missed the first month of my second year. So, when I joined back, and all these daunting engineering subjects came up, like computer engineering subjects, like there was digital systems and communications, which was a kind of a hardware subject, and then there was DSA, there was DBMS, and all these major subjects that they ask for coding rounds, or which are the basis of computer engineering. They were taught in that first month. So I completely missed my base. And in the first exam, I really bombed all my exams. So that is when I realized that I have missed out on a lot, and I've left a lot of learning to do behind. So as soon as the competition was over, I went back and I tried to start studying, but doing self-study without a base was really hard for me, because in school I've had really great teachers, and school is like, from your first standard to your 10th standard, your teachers want you to do well, they encourage you, they hold your hand. Our school even hosted, remedial classes and stuff for things that you did not understand. You could just go and you could approach your teachers. I realized that college is very, very different from that. College is College is for people who are self-starters, like people who like to learn on their own, who think on their own, who do not get swayed by other people's opinions, and do their research. So this, like all of this, I think my classmates coped up with in the first year. And while I was doing all these crazy extracurricular activities, I missed out on that. So it took me a few months, 2 to 3 months, to really get into the gear, understand what resources I could use, and how to approach professors. Because when I first used to approach professors, they were like, "Why didn't you study this? Why don't you know this from the beginning?" So I realized that I needed to do my homework before I went in with my doubts and questions. And I couldn't just really go and say, ki, "Oh, I don't know this, teach me this." That is not how college works. And I learned that the hard way. So yeah, that was one point of realization. So yeah, the key being that college is for self-starters. You need to know what kind of learning ability you have, what kind of learning mechanisms you can use to learn faster, to grasp concepts better. Then go ahead from there.
so it's important as a student as well to understand how to balance everything, because I think that's
Yeah.
the biggest thing that college teaches you, which will possibly help you in your corporate journey as well. Okay, so
Right.
when did your coding journey exactly start, and when did you start the so-called placement prep? Because usually people get to know about internship season in second year. It usually happens in third year, right? But people start
Yeah.
preparing from second year, or some people start coding from first year or before that. So when did your coding journey start out, and how are you studying things? If you can mention how you covered subjects like DSA first of all, and the other core subjects, how you ended up studying them.
Right. So as I said, the self-learning part, I had to work on that for 2 to 3 months. Uh, I mean, by that time, my peers had gone like way far ahead of me. They were, doing at least basic things of DSA, where I was just starting out with, pattern printing and understanding syntax of languages and stuff like that. And like, I just want to say here that everyone has their own journey. You don't need to compete with other people, because they're on their own path and you're on your own path. So just keep doing what you're doing, is what I would say. And my coding journey actually began in the December of my second year, which is like the first semester end. So when the semesters ended and we were on holiday, that's when I started getting serious about, hacker rank or lead code, and kind of started coding. And like here I would like to mention that having a great group of friends really helps, because my roommates really pushed me into coding, because they were like, okay, you've had your fun for the past 1.5 years, but now it's time to focus on your placements and on your studies, and you'll regret it if you don't do it right now. So they really helped me open my eyes in a way. And that is when I started my DSA journey. So I started from the very basic, very scratch. And I would say that YouTube has been a big savior. I did not join any courses per se. I had just done one course in my second year, which was by TeachNook, this organization called TeachNook. There was this course by IIT Bhubaneswar, Data Science with Python. So that was one course I did, but I would not recommend paid courses to anyone. This was just one starting point that I took. Okay, if I pay money, maybe I'll do that seriously. So that is why I did it. And then along the way in that course, I got interested in it. Uh, and I got interested in coding basically. And then in the December month, I started looking for resources. So Python programming, I did the playlist of Code with Harry, and the DSA one, it was Apna College. There was one playlist of Apna College for Java, and uh, there was also one more. There's this one by Fang Company's DSA coding. I'll let you know who
Yeah,
the
I'll
creator
attach the
is.
link for that. Yeah.
But yeah, that was the best playlist that I had seen on DSA. It cleared all my concepts right from the beginning. But the key is to have a lot of patience, because these playlists are huge. So, you're excited on the first day and you go in with your full spirit, and it maybe lasts a week or two, and then you're just like, oh, I don't have the patience to do this anymore. So the key is to keep the same amount of enthusiasm every day as you learn. And then I also joined a short course for interview skills. So it was basically technical interview skills. So in that they taught us about OOPS and system design and architecture, and how to answer these questions when they come up in interviews, and how to speak out loud. Like when you're solving a problem, you need to speak out your thought process so that the interviewer understands how you think and how you arrive at a solution, rather than just giving them a solution. So that is how my coding journey started. And SQL, I think DBMS SQL, it's one of the easiest things to learn. Even if you watch a one-shot video, I think that will get you covered. And the key is to solve a lot of problems, uh, to solve a lot of coding questions. So because coding is essentially like maths, like trigonometry. The more questions you solve, the more you'll get it. The more you will recognize patterns, and the better solutions you will be able to give. So that is how my coding journey started. And yeah, from then on, it was a full speed ahead.
So I'll attach the links to the resources that she mentioned, and I think the patience part is very important because nowadays in the age of social media and AI bots, we aren't really patient. Even when we want to get an answer of a simple question, we end up chat GPTing it compared to
So
maybe 10 years back when you'd go to Google and you'd actually read through a couple of articles to get an actual idea about what you're supposed to do. So I think patience is key, and it always has been key regardless of when you're applying for placements or what sort of age group you belong to. Okay, so let's talk about your internship journey now. So let's go through first of all a couple of failures that you remember and the lessons you took from that, because a lot of people, they get very downright demotivated if they aren't able to clear the first placement. Some people are jealous of other folks that are clearing those placements. They're kind of feeling like, I knew more than this guy. How did he clear the placements and I wasn't able to get that internship or placement? So, what were the couple of failures that you went through first? You can name the company if you want. We can keep the company. We can keep the company confidential. Otherwise, but what were the couple of lessons that you took out from your first couple of failures? If you could maybe give a list of top 5 lessons that you took out from your initial interviews that really helped crack the internship at Barclays.
Right. So like you said, top five learnings that I took away, right? So the first one was about OAs. When it comes to an OA, it is really important to clear all of the MCQs because DSA question, you either do it or you don't do it. I mean, you pass very few test cases or you pass a lot of the test cases or all of the test cases. So that is where the DSA question comes in. But when it comes to the MCQs, try to be as accurate because that is that 19-20 ka farak that helps you, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, so MCQs very underrated but very important. Secondly, I would say the DSA question, right? If you are unable to solve it, try to get as many test cases as possible in the question. I know this is really, from a coding perspective, this is bad advice. But when it comes to clearing interviews and such, I think the more test cases you try to solve through very simple methods, that helps a lot because ultimately the company is not going to be, you know, looking at your code and refactoring it. They're going to look at what your overall score is from the test, and then they're going to be, uh, selecting you for the further interview or not. And when it comes to SQL, I've seen that in a lot of OAs. I gave a ton of OAs and I've been rejected from many of them. But when it comes to the online assessments, SQL questions, they're mostly related to joins. So make your, left join, right join, uh, and all the kinds of joins that are there in SQL, try to make them really, really strong. This is one thing I would say about OAs. So this is my first learning. The second one would be, again, when it comes to technical interviews and solving questions that the interviewer has given you, you have to think out loud. If they've given you, say, a question related to um, some kind of ordering or something, you have to first give them a very basic answer, as in, if maybe you use an array because it's the most primary data structure, right? So you start from an array, then you go on to the more complex ones, and then like since I mostly prepared DSA in Java, so then you go on to the Java collection frameworks, and then you talk about hash set or linked list, which is inbuilt in the Java collection framework, and so on. So this would be my second advice, that think out loud in your interviews because sometimes it doesn't even matter if you arrive at a solution. The interviewer is just impressed on how you are expressing your views, how you approach a particular problem because that's all they're looking for. They're generally not really looking for a solution. Um, and the third would be, when you introduce yourself, don't make it, hi, my name is Chinmayee, I'm from this college, I'm from this branch, I have studied these subjects in my course, and so on, because that's the kind of introduction that everyone will give. Try to make yourself stand out through the first 1 minute of your interview. Tell them something interesting about yourself. Try to stick to the technicals, or the close enough extracurriculars to your technical. Like I was the lead of eCell by the time I was giving interviews. So I told them that I lead a 75 member student organization called the eCell, and we try to foster entrepreneurship on campus. So that is something that stands out in a person's mind. If you have, say, won a hackathon or something, just state facts, state numbers, or try to portray yourself as an analytical or a critical thinker, and then that will get you far in the interview. So try to impress like your interviewer, I would say, in the first 1 or 2 minutes of your introduction. And the introduction is really important. So rehearse your introduction a lot in front of a mirror because that's the first impression that you're going to leave. So yeah, that would be pointer number four. And pointer number five would be, do not underestimate HR interviews because that's something that I did. Uh, and going through two technical rounds and then going to an HR interview, then you feel like, oh, okay. I mean, because your seniors have told you something, don't guess or don't put all your eggs in one basket or go on some kind of premonition ki, okay, I'm going to get here or I'm not going to get here. Just go in without expectations, do your best. And when it comes to HR questions, um like maybe before, during our parents' generation or something, people needed a lot of yes men or yes women who would just be a team player, do the work, and go home. But that's not what companies are looking for right now. They're looking for people with opinions. They are looking for people who have reasons behind those opinions. So whenever in an HR interview you state something, always back it up with some sort of logical reasoning, and always stick to your point, and don't try to deviate or don't try to get manipulated, because sometimes that's what HR interviews try to do. They see if you get deviated from your morals, or say from your values, or what kind of person you are. So yeah, these are the 5 pointers.
Okay. So talking about Barclays internship, the rounds, it would be great if you could take us through the rounds and what were the kind of questions that were asked, and maybe the number one lesson from. I think we've already talked about the lessons, but you can mention maybe the topics that were asked or something that helped you in those rounds.
Yeah, I still remember my Barclays interviews clear as day. So in the online assessment, it was the day before the interviews, and in the online assessment, they had asked a DAC question. They had asked a strings related question. Um, yeah, and the strings related question was where the differentiator was, basically, because a lot of people had underestimated, string reader, string buffer, and all those sorts of things related to Java. So there was a strings related question, there was a DAC question, and there were two SQL questions, like I said, joins, uh, and yeah, rank, uh, the rank or
Yeah,
order kind of questions.
yeah,
So those are really important for SQL. So there were those two. There were MCQs based on OOPS and a little bit on OS as well. So that those are the basics also you can look into. So this was all about the online assessment. And then a lot of people went into around, I think 30-35 people got selected for the interviews. And the first interview was a technical interview. So there were just 2 rounds for Barclays. First is the technical, second is the techno HR. So in the technical interview, I was asked about my resume at first. First, I was asked to give the introduction. Then they looked through my resume, they looked through my projects, and I had put in my strongest projects. Like there was one DFA project, one DBMS project, and one small internship that I had done for a jewelry brand. So that was also mentioned. So yeah, that is also one standout point. I would say that no matter how small the internship or even if it's unpaid or whatever, when it comes to experience in the real world, it speaks a lot more than on paper like achievements or like a CGPA or whatever. So I think go for an internship in the summer of your second year if you can, and that would really help you. So again, that was also a POS kind of a point of sale kind of a project. So they asked me to draw up what kind of tables I used in that project. Since I said it was a Java and a DBMS project, a mixture of both. So they asked me to draw up tables and how I went about this. And then they asked me practical questions on that. If I want to query this kind of thing, how would you do it? So I wrote the query, select star, whatever, like the joins and all. So then that I realized that during the Barclays interview itself, that you can steer interviews your way, like to your strong points. When you give your introduction, right, mention your strongest points first. You can say, this is my favorite subject, or this is my favorite thing to do. And I won this hackathon, and this project is what really interests me. And this technology is what I have worked on a lot and interests me. And then automatically the interviewer asks you questions about that. Because if you give a general introduction or you just lay out, general points, they will ask you what they know about.
yeah,
So since my interviewer was from a data science and systems and that sort of a background, a data related background basically, he asked me most of the questions which were data related. So there was data management, data science related, a little bit of Python was also asked, wherein the course that I had done before, data science with Python, that really helped. It was not like I revised anything before the interviews. There was just some things I was able to recollect from the course. And those I said out loud, and the interviewer was happy. So when it comes, so since all that happened, there was no time for DSA questions because the interview was running out of time. So they just asked me a few basic questions, trying to solve this kind of a pattern, and then I was out of the interview. So I think one again major learning from the Barclays interview was that you can steer the interview your way as long as you know what to say and what points to put forth, and you get asked questions like that.
Yeah. And what was your intuition after giving the interview? Like, did you feel like it went well, or what did you think personally after giving the interview? Like, you have that gut feeling, right, after giving an interview or
Mhm.
something.
I think during the interview I was totally numb. So there was like my mind was really blank. I had nothing going on in my mind. And since I had been rejected from quite a few companies before, I did not go into this with a lot of expectations. Like I did not even tell my parents I was appearing for this interview because then it just gets hopes up and then they dash back again. But I think learning, from your failures and learning to handle failure better is something that I learned in theater, which I applied in real life when it came to the placement process. Is because I've got like I can name those companies actually. I've got rejected from Adobe. I've got rejected from like I was not even allowed to appear for the Intuit one because my CGPA was not that high. So yeah, so there's one thing I want to say that even if you have a lower CGPA than 9, that does not mean that you're doomed forever. Or I mean, you should always strive for a CGPA higher than 8, 8.5, or 9. If you're a 9 CG, that's great. You have a lot of options. But for people who do not have that high of a CG, who have absolute grading system like we had in our college, I would say not to get disheartened and just try to strengthen the other pillars of your profile so that
Yeah. So it's really important, learn from failures, like you mentioned, because I think it's Michael Jordan or someone's quote where he mentioned that he failed more than he actually succeeded. Like, he shot more than 10,000 shots and he got like 3,000 out of them. So it is very important to
right.
embrace those failures and most importantly, not blame it on anyone and take accountability and responsibility for your failure, because that is only when you're going to actually learn from it and, make some changes to the mistakes that you made, like learn from them and make the changes accordingly. So how was your experience at Barclays, and if you could mention maybe briefly a bit about the hackathon you won, like what you built, and any advice regarding PPO, like what helped you get that PPO, the biggest lesson.
So the Barclays, uh, doing an internship in any corporate and especially a bank is a big, like, it's a blast because you meet new people, you meet industry leaders, and these organizations give a lot of exposure to graduates. So even though maybe say your elder colleagues are working on some older technology, or like they sometimes work on servers and mainframes and that kind of stuff, the grads always get handed the newer technology, the newer projects, say in machine learning, AI, or just full stack development, but a really good stack like Angular or React, and you get to work a lot in Python. So no matter what language you code in for your competitive programming or for your interviews, I would say in the break that you get, learn Python. Like learn Python frameworks, Django, Fast API. So that will give you an edge over the other interns because ultimately, no matter how much we deny it, it is a competition with your peers uh, to getting a PPO. So I would say just brush up on your full stack skills, on your Python skills mainly. And yeah, I think currently in banking, a lot of things are shifting. There is a lot of work in Java, in Java, Spring Boot. but most of that work is in the full stack side. But if you want to go to the data science side, machine learning side, Python is the key. So learn Python, I would say. And that is what I did. Just before my internship, I brushed up a little bit on my Python skills. And when I joined, there was the induction. So the interesting thing about this whole process of selecting is they're watching your every move. Whatever you do, the things you say to your colleagues, the amount of questions you ask, and the quality of questions you ask, all of it is being noted by the HR, by your manager. Basically, your manager gets to know everything that you're doing throughout your internship, even the training sessions that you attend, the kind of output you're giving. And it is very important to, speak up, raise your hand, and ask questions to people. So, like during our induction, there was Bhargavi Shankara, who was the CIO of Barclays India, and she had given a talk. And I had asked a question, and that somehow reached my manager. So that puts you in a different kind of lens, and that gives you a head start. Ki, okay, this person is a self starter, or this person, takes initiative
Yeah,
and raises their hand. So that's a good quality to display. And as much as a PPO is about technical skills, it is also about they look at how you survive in a team kind of an environment, how you handle conflicts with your colleagues, and there is always a one-on-one. So in the beginning, there's a one-on-one. In the middle, like after a month,
yeah,
and then in the end, at the end of the 8 weeks, there's a one-on-one. So these are really important, and it's important that you portray yourself, in a good light, and also while not taking away from your team's efforts. So it should always be like we have done this, we have implemented this, and only if they ask you what was your own contribution, then you say ki I built this functionality, or I added this feature, I suggested this in the meeting, and so on. So every small thing that you do does get noticed. So, these are just some standard things that they also tell you, like don't discuss politics in the office, don't get into fights, and don't get involved with your colleagues, so to say.
yeah.
Uh, but yeah, just be like a good person, and keep going at your work, and then the PPO is guaranteed, I would say.
Yeah, and I feel like it's also important to be natural, like because a lot of times we think too much about the PPO and all, and then like you're not focused on work, and then there's this toxic culture that might build up between the interns
Correct,
and
correct.
things like that. Because I feel like it's very important to enjoy as well, right? Because the rest of the
Yeah,
folks are also your age, so you can mingle with them and sort of understand,
yeah,
like similar to what we do in college, right? There are folks that are very competitive and jealous, that they try to mess up other
yeah,
people's things. And there are folks that, they're good friends that you have that really help out
yeah,
in your journey. So it's important to do the same in corporate, and definitely don't
definitely.
dive into the other things that you mentioned. And I think they do mention that anyways in the company. So that's great to
Yeah,
know. So now we'll move to the rapid fire round. I'll have a basic question. Whatever comes up to your mind, you can answer, no filters. And
good.
hopefully it will be fun. Yeah. So to start things off,
Yeah.
what is your best memory of Barclays apart from the technical work that you did?
I think and we were a team of 6 interns that were put on a full stack project. So, just booking a meeting room sometimes just for fun, and like, playing games, and sometimes also involving our managers or our,
Yeah,
teammates, like who are full time in the company. I think that was a great part of Barclays.
yeah. What is one lesson that your extracurriculars or maybe your classical singing or something? There are attributes that you gain from that. What is something that that really taught you, or you feel like gave you a push overall in your personality and overall in your tech journey as well?
Right. So like extracurriculars, there were two things, like there are two parts to this. The first one is when it comes to all the arts, right? So whenever you're pursuing a particular art, it's something you do long term. When you're learning, say, classical music, that is something you learn for a lifetime.
Correct, correct.
And like learning doesn't stop, because you're always finding new things, you're always failing, or maybe you don't know how to sing something, or how to play something on an instrument, say. So music or art really teaches you that it's not important that you're perfect, but it's important that you keep progressing day by day. So that is one thing that I learned from extracurriculars. And the second part would be when I was heading ECEL. There are a lot of different kinds of people that you meet. So ECEL was a 75 member team and 75 people, 75 different personalities. So how you handle it and how you come out of all the adversities, looking good with your collar clean and all. I think that's really important. So yeah, handling the different type of people is something I learned in ESL, which is much more important in corporate, especially in BFSI and fintech,
Correct.
uh, than technology. Because technology anyone can learn at any time, but how to handle people and how to work harmoniously is something that they value a lot.
Yeah. What do you like better, full stack development or maybe data science or something related to Python?
So in my second internship, there was a lot of AI, a lot of LangChain, LangGraph, and I worked a lot with LLMs and SLMs. So definitely that's the direction I want to go with going forward. But I have a special place in my heart for full stack because that is what made my place at Barclays, and that's what helped me get a BPO. And full stack, anywhere you go in any company, they may not have, a lot of generative AI or whatever, but there will always be a demand for full stack, no matter
Correct.
how much AI comes into play.
Comes and goes. Yeah. What is the biggest lesson that maybe your friends taught you or maybe a mentor taught you, if you remember? And if you want to mention, you can also mention that person that really helped you throughout your college journey or even in the corporate world.
Right. Um, So I think, yeah, like I mentioned before, there was this one friend of mine who really pushed me to keep going forward. And, no matter how much I strayed away or no matter how much I decided to give up, like having a good set of roommates or a good set of friends uh, was a really big win for me. Generally people say that, in a college, roommates get jealous of each other when you get something and they don't get it, but I feel like in my friend circle that was not the case. We all went hand in hand, and I think all of us have ended up at really great places at the end of fourth year. Like I'm in Barclays, there's a friend in Wells Fargo, another one in BNY, another one in Associate General, another one in SAP. So I think these short term fights do not really matter. You just need to go hand in hand and support each other in the long term.
Yeah.
And
And
then,
I think
yeah,
that's probably the biggest lesson that, like
correct.
stay united as friends, and your friends are really going to be the people that make or break you. Like you mentioned, for your friend group everyone is in good place, and I feel like a lot of people from your friend group have also appeared on our podcast as well. We've also covered
Yes.
their journey, so that's also pretty interesting.
Yeah.
But it's important to grow as a group, and I think that is something that college teaches you. So like folks should also be aware of the friend group that they make. Like a lot of people, they make a very large friend group, but then it's very toxic. So it's better to have a few set of friends that you can go to anytime, and uh, friends
Correct.
for life, so as to say. And it's great to know about that as well. Like that people say in Hindi, like do bhai dosta bhai. Like you can say the same for your friend group as well, right? Because everyone cracked good placement, so that's also very important. If you could change one thing about your journey, what would that be?
If I could change one thing about my
Or area of
journey,
improvement, maybe like some area feel like you could have
um,
been slightly better.
I think it has been such a rocky journey. Like for most people, it has been like first year, second year, third
Third
year,
year,
fourth
fourth
year,
year,
and
yeah.
then they gain
Yeah,
their placement. It was like the, upward steering
upward
graph.
trend.
But
Yeah,
for
yeah.
me, it has just been a
Zigzags.
lot of ups and downs. But I think it's the ups and downs that made it fun. One thing I would change, um, I don't think I would change anything.
Yeah, that's also pretty
Yeah.
cool because like I mentioned earlier in the podcast, you can't connect the dots backwards. So I think that's also important because
Right.
one change could have an exponential like difference. Like a lot of times we
Exactly.
crib about something that we messed up on, but I feel like it's all about God's plan after some time. So a lot of times it's like you go on a detour, right? But I feel like the detour is more important than directly reaching the destination. because you never know what lies ahead, and I feel like that is something that you also would go by. And the final question would be, what would be one word that you'd tell your younger self, like looking back at your entire journey from now? What is one word that we would use to describe this entire journey, and maybe something you would tell your younger self?
I would describe this journey in one word as wholesome, because it has had a lot of, nooks and crannies and a lot of different aspects. But
Yeah.
I think every aspect has taught me something and made me into the person that I will, keep growing forward and going ahead. And to my younger self, I would say fail faster. uh, there's this concept called
Yeah,
fail
failing
fast.
faster.
So just don't keep on waiting and sticking to one thing. If you're doing something, don't overthink it, just go for it. And if you're going to fail at it, fail at it, and then come up again, like the phoenix from the ashes,
Yeah,
and just keep going ahead as you go.
yeah,
So yeah, fail fast is one thing I'd tell my younger self.
yeah. And guys, fail fast means that you actually try and fail. Don't just fail for the sake of failing,
Yeah,
because a lot of people
true,
take it
true.
otherwise, that I won't try and fail and then I'll succeed. But it's important to,
Yeah,
try your best. Like Chinmay had also, like looking at her journey, it's also very clear. She tried her best and then she learned from, a couple of failures. It wasn't like rainbows and sunshines where, you get the best placement or you get the first place and right off the top. She
yeah.
was a part of a lot of interviews, and then she was able to, crack this great offer at Barclays, and we saw the journey after that. So thank you so much, Chinmay, once again for coming on this podcast. It was a pleasure having you, and I think we taught a lot to the juniors or anyone watching this, and I'll attach all the links. And you guys can reach out to Chinmay as well, and in the comment section, if you have any doubts or queries, you can mention that, and do share this podcast with folks that definitely can learn from this. So once again, thank you so much, Chinmay. It was an honor having you, and hopefully we get the message out to the audience in a good way.
Thank you so much, Aparimia, for having me. And this was my first experience on a podcast, and it was a great one. You've been a really amazing host and asked all the right questions that need to be put out. So, yeah, this was a great experience.